On February 28, 2026 at 6:35 in the morning UTC, the United States fired the opening salvo of Operation Epic Fury. In the next 24 hours, more than 1,000 targets across Iran were struck. 20 different weapons systems went in simultaneously. Bombers, fighters, destroyers, submarines, and drones, the largest concentration of American firepower deployed in a generation. CENTCOM said that. Not analysts, CENTCOM itself. What the press releases did not explain is how each weapon was chosen, what it actually does to its target, and what the choice of that specific arsenal tells you about where American military power is heading. That is what the next 20 minutes covers. Before we go further, the United States deployed a weapon in Iran that was reverse-engineered directly from an Iranian design. They copied their enemy's weapon, gave it a new name, and fired it back. What does it tell you that the most powerful military in human history did that? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that button now. We put out a new film every week, and the answer to that question is the most important thing in this entire story. The official CENTCOM target list tells you the what. The weapons list tells you the how. Together, they tell you something nobody said out loud at any press conference. The United States went into this conflict with a doctrine built over 40 years. And within the first 72 hours, that doctrine was already being tested in ways its architects did not fully anticipate. Start with the weapon designed specifically for this moment. The one that has been sitting in a climate-controlled bunker in Missouri for a decade, waiting for exactly this target. The B-2 Spirit stealth bomber is the most expensive aircraft ever built. Not the most expensive currently in service, the most expensive ever. Each of the 20 remaining airframes cost $2. $1 billion in 1997 dollars, roughly $4 billion today when you factor in sustainment, upgrades, and the classified software systems layered onto the aircraft since it entered service. The B-2 burns $150,000 worth of fuel and maintenance for every hour it flies. On a round trip from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Iran and back, more than 30 hours, a single sortie costs the American taxpayer roughly $4.5 million before the bombs are counted. 4 of them flew to Iran on the night of February 28th. Call signs Petro 41 through Petro 44, tracked by open-source flight monitoring before the airspace cleared. They flew non-stop from Missouri, refueled multiple times over the Atlantic and Mediterranean by KC-135 tankers, penetrated one of the most heavily air-defended nations in the Middle East, dropped their payload, and returned to Missouri without a single Iranian surface-to-air missile being fired at them. Iran knew they were there only after the bombs had already landed. That last sentence deserves a moment. Iran operates Russian-supplied S-300 air defense systems, the same systems that have reliably detected and tracked conventional aircraft for decades. The B-2's radar cross-section, despite a wingspan of 172 feet, is equivalent to a small bird on radar. Not a small aircraft. A bird. The flying wing geometry, combined with radar-absorbent composite materials coating every surface, scatters incoming radar waves in every direction except back toward the transmitter. The result is an aircraft that is effectively invisible to the systems Iran spent 15 years acquiring to defend against American air power. The targets those 4 B-2s hit on February 28th were Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities, underground caves, and reinforced launch infrastructure that conventional bombs cannot penetrate. The weapons were Gibu 31 Joint Direct Attack munitions, 2,000-pound GPS guided bombs accurate to within 13 feet of their aim point. Satellite imagery confirmed destruction at Tabriz North Missile Base within hours of the strike. But the B-2 was also the platform for something larger. Something that had never been used in combat before June 2025, when 7 B-2s flew from Missouri to Iran's underground nuclear sites and dropped 14 bombs the Air Force had been building and testing for 20 years without ever using. The Jibu-57 massive ordnance penetrator weighs 30,000 pounds. It is 20 feet long and 31 inches in diameter. Its hardened ferro-cobalt alloy casing survives the impact forces of penetrating up to 200 feet of rock or 60 feet of reinforced concrete before the delayed fuse triggers the 5.342 pounds of high explosive inside. To put that in scale, the most famous bunker buster of World War II, the 12,000-pound tall boy used by the RAF, could penetrate roughly 16 feet of concrete. The Jibu-57 penetrates nearly 4 times deeper, with more than double the explosive payload. It is so heavy that only one aircraft in the world is certified to carry it, the B-2, and only 2 fit per airframe. Each bomb costs an estimated $3.5 million. Iran's Fordow nuclear facility, buried inside a mountain 80 to 90 meters underground, received 6 of them in June 2025. The Iranians had called it impenetrable. They were wrong. In February 2026, the Jibu-57 was not used again. The ballistic missile targets did not require that level of penetration. The 2,000-pound JDAM was enough. American strike doctrine is not one weapon. It is a layered menu, and each target gets the weapon precisely calibrated to destroy it with minimum excess. Now the weapon that opened the war before any aircraft crossed Iranian airspace. The Tomahawk land attack missile has been America's standard standoff strike weapon since Operation Desert Storm in 1991. It flies at roughly 550 miles per hour, about the speed of a commercial airliner, guided by GPS, carrying a 1,000-pound warhead capable of destroying a reinforced building. Its range is approximately 1,000 miles, which means an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer sitting in the Arabian Sea can reach any target in Iran without moving within visual range of. The Iranian coastline. Current production cost, approximately $2.5 million per unit. U.S. Navy destroyers, including the US Thomas Hudner and the US Frankie Peterson Jr., both of which CENTCOM released footage of, fired Tomahawks in the opening hours of February 28th. Submarines also launched from positions CENTCOM did not disclose. By the time the first aircraft struck, Tomahawks had already been flying toward Iranian command and control infrastructure for hours. The Iran war is, among other things, a Tomahawk war. More than 850 have been fired in total since February 28th, according to independent analysis, a figure that Pentagon officials privately described as years of normal expenditure. Consumed in weeks. That last number is the one no press conference addresses directly. The United States currently produces approximately 100 Tomahawks per year. At the rate of expenditure in Operation Epic Fury, the entire annual production run is consumed in roughly 4 days of sustained strikes. Rebuilding inventory to pre-war levels will take years, not months. The Trump administration has since ordered production increased to 1,000 units annually, a target requiring expansion of Raytheon's manufacturing capacity in ways that cannot be completed before 2028 at the earliest. Congress approved emergency funding in the FY 2026 reconciliation bill, $25 billion for munitions procurement and production expansion across 13 weapon categories. That is the largest single emergency munitions appropriation in American history outside of a world war. It was passed because 5 weeks of strikes on Iran showed where the stockpiles actually stood. War games modeling a conflict with China, not Iran, calculated that certain American weapons stockpiles run dry within 1 week of sustained high-intensity operations. Iran is not China. Its air force is a fraction of the size. Its navy is not a blue water fleet, and its industrial base operates under sanctions that have degraded its capacity significantly. But the rate at which American precision munitions are consumed in even a mid-tier conflict is the number defense planners in Beijing are studying more carefully than any other. Data point from Operation Epic Fury. Iran is not the adversary the US military was sized and stocked to fight. Iran is the rehearsal. Against this background, the third weapon in the February 28th arsenal is the one that nobody saw coming. Least of all Iran. The Lucas drone, the low-cost unmanned combat attack system, is a one-way attack drone. A kamikaze. It flies to a target and detonates on impact. It does not return. It was not designed to return. Approximately 10 feet long, wingspan of 8 feet. Slow, audible, and not stealthy in any conventional sense. It costs $35,000. Every one of those facts is deliberate. Lucas was developed by an Arizona company called SpectriWorks, publicly revealed for the first time in July 2025. It entered operational deployment in December 2025 and was first used in combat in February 2026. The development timeline from concept to operational deployment was approximately 18 months. The F-35 program, which began in the mid-1990s, did not reach full production until 2021. 25 years versus 18 months. The reason Lucas could be developed that quickly is precisely because it was not designed to be complicated. It was designed to be a copy of the Iranian Shahed 136 drone. CENTCOM's official statement on February 28th did not soften this. These low-cost drones, modeled after Iran's Shahed drones, are now delivering American-made retribution. Exact wording. The United States military publicly acknowledged, in a combat press release, that it had reverse-engineered the enemy's weapon and was firing it back. This has not happened in American military history within living memory. The last time the United States copied an adversary's weapon and deployed it operationally in the same conflict, it was analyzing captured German V-2 rocket technology in 1945. And that took years. Lucas took 18 months. The arithmetic is not subtle. A Tomahawk costs $2.5 million, a Lucas costs $35,000. The same $800 million that buys approximately 320 Tomahawk strikes buys 22,857 Lucas drones. When Iran is producing Shahed drones at a reported rate of 10,000 per month and deploying them in saturation waves designed to overwhelm air defense systems, the only logical American response is volume. And the only way to achieve volume is to accept that some weapons do not need to be exquisite. They need to be numerous, cheap, and available tomorrow. The F-35, which flew hundreds of sorties in Operation Epic Fury from both carrier decks and land bases, is the opposite philosophy. And it was indispensable for different reasons. The F-35A Lightning II, the Air Force variant, has a unit cost of approximately $82.5 million. It carries an internal weapons load specifically to preserve its stealth profile. External pylons would show up on radar. In Iranian airspace, where S-300 systems are still partially operational, stealth is not a luxury. It is the margin between a completed mission and a shoot-down. CENTCOM confirmed that F-35s struck Iranian command and control infrastructure, radar sites, and ERG facilities, targets requiring penetration of defended airspace rather than standoff range. The F-35 also carried EA-18G advanced anti-radiation guided missiles, which home in on the electronic emissions of radar systems. When an Iranian radar turns on to track incoming aircraft, the EA-18G follows the beam back to the source. The act of defending against American aircraft becomes the act of targeting yourself. The EA-18G Growler flew alongside every strike package. Its entire purpose is electronic warfare, jamming Iranian radar frequencies, suppressing communications between command centers and launch sites, creating invisible corridors in the electromagnetic spectrum through which B-2s and F-35s can move undetected. The Growler carries no bombs. It carries jamming pods, anti-radiation missiles, and a sensor suite that maps the enemy's electronic order of battle in real time. It costs $67 million per aircraft and is arguably the most important asset in the entire package. Because without it, the expensive stealth aircraft become visible. And visible. Aircraft over Iran in 2026 are not guaranteed to return. 3 U.S. jets were shot down during Operation Epic Fury. All 3 over Kuwait, all 3 in a friendly fire incident CENTCOM attributed to identification failure. No American aircraft has been confirmed shot down by Iranian air defenses. The distinction matters. It means the combination of stealth, jamming, and saturation has so far held. But Iran is adapting. Its air defense doctrine has been revised multiple times since February 28th. As of late April 2026, the air war has not concluded. The United States has struck over 1,000 targets. Iran has absorbed those strikes and continues launching retaliatory missile and drone waves against U.S. bases across the Gulf, attacks that have caused $800 million in damage to American installations in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, and rendered several bases what defense officials described privately as all but uninhabitable. 3 U.S. service members have been killed. The Iran war is not a 24-hour operation. It is a sustained campaign, and every day it continues, the stockpile calculations get harder. If you made it this far, you already understand why this channel exists. Hit like if you want more films like this one. It is the only way YouTube shows us to new people. The B-21 Raider, the B-2's successor, is currently operational in limited numbers at Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. Its unit cost is classified, but estimates run from $700 million to over $1 billion per airframe. Smaller than the B-2, requiring a smaller maintenance crew, and designed from the ground up for the threat environment China would generate. Hypersonic missile defenses, AI, assisted radar networks, electronic warfare capabilities that the B-2's 1990s era stealth profile was never built to defeat. The B-21 is not confirmed to have flown combat missions over Iran. The B-2 has. The fact that the Air Force continues using the older platform while protecting the newer one is itself a statement about what the next theater is expected to require. The Lucas drone's successor is already in development. The Army's PAR-SM, precision strike missile, made its combat debut in Iran. Fired from HIMARS launchers with a range exceeding 400 kilometers. More expensive than Lucas, more precise, capable of reaching targets drones cannot reach fast enough. The FY 2026 DoD budget requested multi-year procurement authority for 13 missile types. Congress approved 8. The production increase for Tomahawks alone, from 100 units annually to a target of 1,000, is a direct response to what 5 weeks of war in Iran revealed about American industrial readiness. The weapons used in Operation Epic Fury on February 28th were not chosen because they were the newest in the American arsenal. The B-2 entered service in 1997. The Tomahawk entered service in 1983. The F-35 reached full operational capability in 2021. What these weapons share is not recency. Each was designed for a specific layer of the problem: stealth penetration of defended airspace, standoff strikes from safe distance, electronic suppression of enemy sensors, and, newest of all, cheap attritable mass. The last layer was missing until February 28th. And the fact that America filled that gap with a copy of Iran's own drone is the answer to the question posed at the start of this story. The most powerful military in human history copied its enemy's weapon not because it was out of ideas. It copied it because the enemy had solved a problem: how to strike at scale, cheaply, and in volume. That American acquisition doctrine, with its preference for expensive precision, had failed to solve for 20 years. The $35,000 drone that closes the gap between America's $800 billion defense budget and the reality of a sustained modern war is not an admission of weakness. It is the most honest thing the Pentagon has said about the future of warfare in a generation. Quantity has a quality all its own. The United States is only now learning what that means in practice. The weapons used on February 28th answered one question. Can America strike Iran's most hardened targets without losing aircraft? Yes. The question the next phase of this war is asking is different. Can America sustain that strike capacity long enough to achieve its stated objective? No answer yet. But the Lucas drone, the B-21 program, and the $25 billion in emergency munitions procurement are all simultaneously the same reply. America is building a military for the next war. And the next war looks nothing like the one the weapons on February 28th were built to fight. The B-2 was designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses in 1985. The Tomahawk was designed to strike Soviet command infrastructure from standoff range. The F-35 was designed to dominate airspace against fourth-generation fighters. Every weapon system used in the opening hours of Operation Epic Fury was built for a world that no longer exists, and still worked against this enemy in this conflict in 2026. American military power is not fast. It is durable. The weapons that opened this war were conceived before most of the pilots flying them were born. The ones being built right now, the B-21, the Lucas successors, the hypersonic strike programs in development at Lockheed and Northrop, will still be flying in 2060 against adversaries that have not yet defined themselves. And somewhere inside that calculus, a 23-year-old engineer at SpectriWorks in Arizona spent 18 months building a $35,000 drone that is, structurally and operationally, a copy of the weapon Iran spent a decade developing to defeat America. The most expensive military in human history learned something from its poorest adversary. That is not irony. That is the most important lesson Operation Epic Fury produced, and the one most likely to determine what the next war looks like, wherever it happens, whenever it starts.